epistemology was the big three: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These are the big teachers or rishis of the Greek tradition. Over there, Socrates did not leave any writing behind, but his student was Plato. So Plato wrote whatever his teachers said, and according to them, there are three sources of knowledge. He's saying exactly what Vaisheshika said. Vaisheshika said, we have internal perception and external perception. External is done with the sense objects, eyes, nose, touch, and everything, but that is flawed. It can be mistaken. At night time, if there is not enough light on the road, you might think the rope is a snake, right? But then if there's a light, you say, that's not a snake. That means your external perception can be flawed. That's what Vaisheshika says. Internal perception is through the mind, through reasoning. That is a superior form of thinking. That's exactly what Plato says. Knowledge obtained from senses is not real knowledge. And he says highest degree of knowledge includes truth like goodness, beauty, comes from thinking, original thinking. So he's saying exactly what Vaisheshika is the basis of Greek epistemology, philosophy, and thinking. Many contacts are there with the Greeks. Even in 509 BCE, there were Indian soldiers who were working with the Persian army who had invaded Athens in Greece. We have evidence of that in several places. And for example, these are the Indian Xerxes army, 480 BCE, and these are the people called the Shaka, the Hindush, the Gandhara. These are all Indians that are shown in the stele, and some of the arrowheads from that particular war that is shown over here. Then in Alexandria, where is Alexandria? Alexandria is here. This is the Mediterranean Sea, and Alexandria is here. So the ships would come from Italy, from Greece, from other places, and they cannot come to India directly. They'll stop in Alexandria. They'll have a land caravan going all the way to the Red Sea, where there'll be ships waiting for them. Whose ships are those? Those are Indian ships. Because you can't have foreign ships over here. There's so much of land here. And to cross the Arabian Sea is a very powerful, rough sea. You can't have the soft wood that is found in Mediterranean lands. Pine wood, all these woods are very, very soft. You can't build a ship out of that. To build a ship to cross Arabian Sea, you need teak wood. Teak wood grows in the Western Ghats in India, right? So that is the kind of wood. So we have evidence that Indian merchants would be waiting here when the monsoon winds are correct. The caravans come over there, they come to India, trade with India, and they go back. So in this time, the ruler in Alexandria, he said, anybody who comes here must give your books for us to copy. So they'd copy the books and give the copy to them and keep the originals. That's how Library of Alexandria grew. And all these big thinkers of the Greek tradition, Euclid, Archimedes, Eratosthenes, Hipparchus, Theon, Aristarchus, all of them used this library. In other words, all of the Greek knowledge was got from the Library of Alexandria, which was set up to take Indian works and transmit it to the West. That's where we got this knowledge from. Then this is Clement. I'm not going to read all these things, but he was an early Christian writer. So he too says in all these works that the Greek philosophers got all their ideas from the Brahmins. Brahmins of India taught the Greeks all the philosophy. This is written by Clement in the year 150 current era. I've given the references to all of these things over here. Then we have the situation that in India, we don't have any knowledge of the outside world. But outsiders have got great knowledge of India. So you find all these Greek historians who are talking about India. It is like today's United States, right? United States today is an arrogant country because they're rich, powerful, big, all the resources they need, they have. So the average American has got no idea of the geography outside USA, what the people do there, what is the politics outside. They have no idea because the country is self-contained. They have everything they need. Ancient India was like that. Ancient India had everything they need inside. Everybody would come to India to study, to Takshashila, to Nalanda, other places. Everybody wanted to trade with India, Indo-Roman trade, Silk Route trade, everything. They wanted to get Indian goods. So Indians had no need to know the outside world. Outsiders wanted to know about India. One such evidence is here, where all these people have got great knowledge about India, but Indians don't seem to have this knowledge. Then we have evidence about Pythagoras, one of the great persons in Western tradition. So writers like Albert Burke, Ian Marlowe, G.R.S. Mead, they all say Pythagoras visited India and he got his knowledge from India. He went back to Greece and he became a vegetarian. People called him a madman because he stopped eating meat. They said, why does he only eat beans and nuts and things like that? So something over there. He also started a Gurukulam style of school where he was the Acharya in charge and his close disciples were around and distant disciples. He also believed in transmigration of souls, similar to our reincarnation. He believed in these ideas also. This is a paper that talks about it. So very clearly, he's got taken Indian ideas out of India. Democritus, one more such traveler to India. In Greek works, Cicero as well as Strabos, they said Democritus visited India. And Democritus seems to have learned Vaisheshika because whatever he said, he's called the father of modern science. The Westerners love to self exalt themselves. So he's the father of modern science. He talked about an atomic theory, but that atomic theory is already there in Vaisheshika Sutra, going back to much earlier. And all of these kind of things are in these works. What I'm not going to read all these things, but in Democritus' work we find that. Then Indian medicine was based on the Tridosha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, with the Panchamahabhuta, interaction with the outside environment and world. That's what we had. You see that Hippocrates proposed this humor system, yellow bile, fire, black bile, earth, water, air. The Panchamahabhuta is put into this kind of a system. He had a very similar system to Indians. How is it possible? Also, we got the very famous Charaka Samhita's oath of the physicians. What kind of oath the physicians must take. That exact same oath is in Hippocrates' work. So today, even our doctors take their oath called Hippocrates' oath, not Charaka's oath, but there's a true copy over here. And the reasons for that is Hippocrates was a student of Democritus, the same Democritus who went to India and got knowledge. Hippocrates was his student. So he's learned from his teacher about these things, and a whole lot of other transmissions have happened. In addition, the writer, J.F. Royle, shows that all the materials that the Greeks and Romans used to make their medicines was all from India in that Indo-Roman trade. It was coming from India by the ships and so on. History of trigonometry. So again, they love to say Hipparchus is a father of trigonometry. But then the trigonometry they had was this one, the chord tables. How many of you are mathematics students here? Anybody? Some of you are. So you know that this is the chord table, right? This is not trigonometry. Trigonometry is right angle triangles. The geometry based on right angle triangles. This is there in Surya Siddhanta. It is not there in Ptolemy's work. It is not there in any other work. So if you want to talk about trigonometry, it really is there in Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhata's works, and so on, and not in any of their earlier works. Very interesting to see that. Then we have trade with the Romans in Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. Erythraean Sea is the name, ancient name given to Arabia and other things. So like I said, ships would come from all these places, berth at Alexandria, take the caravan route here, and from Red Sea, there'll be Indian ships waiting to take them to all these ports from Gujarat to Tamil Nadu, all the way to Bengal. They were ports where they would trade. What did they trade in? Cotton cloth, muslin, various categories of linen to muslin was made in India. Even today, if you want to see where are the cotton centers in India, believe it or not, you'll find them in coastal cities. So this is a memory from 2000 years ago. We still have that in India today. Recently, in a place called Berenike in Egypt, they uncovered Kushan-era artifacts that are found in Egypt. And there were this a Brahmi, for example, Buddha, and other such things. These are Sanskrit inscriptions. This is not a surprising thing for us because we know Indo-Roman trade used to go through Red Sea and these things happened. The famous Pompeii Lakshmi. Pompeii Lakshmi is an ivory statue found in Pompeii, which was destroyed in 79 current era. It came from the Shatavahana Empire, and this is part of the Indo-Roman trade relations. Very interesting. Dioscorides, he was a physician who wrote something called Materia Medica, basically all the materials used to make medicines in the Western world. He wrote a 5-volume Materia Medica with a large number of Indian herbs, how to make the drugs and other such things. This was used for 16 centuries as a medical text in Europe. And I opened that book and took a look. All these and many, many more are Indian drugs. These are not grown in Mediterranean lands. Clearly showing that India was the world's physician even in those days. Even today it is the same. Even 2000 years back, India was doing similarly. Arikamedu is near Puducherry, and I visited that a few years ago. This one too shows evidence of Roman contact with the Roman arches and so on. This is very interesting. This came out on Twitter just about a couple of months back with the Israel Antiquities Authority. They excavated a garbage dump which was part of the Silk Road, the Indo-Roman and the Silk Road. So they wanted to see what are the discards that the merchants at that era did. And they found a lot of these swatches of cotton cloths, and all these cotton cloths are from India. If you just take a look at it, you'll think that even there's a modern cloth today, something like a towel that you might make and things like that. But this is the nature of cloth that our ancient ancestors used to make, right? Look at the workmanship, technology, trade, all the styles and other things. Amazing to think that 1,300 years ago, this is the kind of materials our Indians would make, and it would be taken on ships to trade with other countries and elsewhere. And we also had, in addition to the Indo-Roman route, we had the Silk Road. Silk Road was an informal trade network between Mediterranean lands, Central Asia, India, China, and Southeast Asia. Why do we think that this also was a source of knowledge transmission? The oldest work we have of Indian medicine is called Boer manuscript. It is a manuscript, a Sanskrit-based manuscript, palm leaves, that is found in Xinjiang province. Xinjiang province is somewhere over here. It is found over there and given to a British officer called Boer. That's why it's called Boer. So that is the oldest document we have. You can carbon date it and see of Indian medicine. The fact that it was found on a trade route tells me that even Indian knowledge used to be traded all over these places. We also have evidence of transmission in early medieval period, before Islam came to Central Asia and other places. In Iran, for example, Anushirwan, he was somebody who sent his vizier to India to get medical texts from India, 531 current era. And also in Persia, in a place called Jondishapur. That was a place where Greeks who were fleeing persecution in Christian Europe, they would come there, the philosophers would come there. In addition, there'd be Indian doctors also over there, and they all practice Indian medicines in this place called Jondishapur in this time frame. And this is Jondishapur. Before Islam came, it was in this part of the world. The ruins are there today. So after the conquest, this fell into decline in 638 current era.